Hello, Possums. Welcome to our first stab at a mock draft. Mock draft 1.0. We do it every year. We use it as a benchmark to kind of hold the rest of our season up against. So Billy is our resident college football expert. We've all been watching tape. We've been doing some research, but we're going to see what Billy has to say. And we're going to say the people that we like and what we think is going to happen in this draft because it's draft season. It is dynasty football season, and we love making that shift here at Offensive Points. So give us a follow on Twitter at Offensive Points or X. I am so sorry. Go to IDP Guys on X and follow them as well. Follow IDP Plus. We got a bunch of tools. We got a bunch of shows throughout the offseason that will have you prepped for your dynasty draft. Get some dynasty trades in there and get you ready for the 2024 season. Josh, Billy, what is up?
I still type in Twitter when I go to Twitter. I don't call it X, so it's fine. I literally will type in twitter.com. They're like X, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. You get the point. Like, you're still routing the internet there. It all counts. So
I just updated my app on my phone last week, and I'm still not used to the logo.
I'm always worried about typing in x.com on my work computer, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just worried, like someone will flag somewhere, and IT person's gonna be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Like, I just Twitter is just, I know it's safe. I know
it's like the WhiteHouse.com for millennials. You know, you just type it in there as a joke, and you didn't type in .org, and now there's boobies on your page.
Those were some good times. What a core memory unlock there, Joe.
Yeah. Good times. Yeah, no, it's a dangerous game making it X because it can go all sorts of directions if you try to type that in the wrong way. Or an autofill that goes awry. All right. This year, we're doing a mock draft 1.0. This is about the time we did it the last year. We like to be 100% accurate. So obviously this first mock draft we do is exactly how things are going to go. We do not have the ability to do trades within the mock draft. We are going to talk about the trades as we go through the mock, but we will not be able to actually, show it on the graphic. So we will just do the picks as they are, but we will talk about the trades as they come because we think they're there's definitely going to be some. Before we get into the mock draft, though, I do feel like we should talk about a few of the firings. One in particular that I was jumping around my house, pouring champagne over everything. First one was Mike Vrabel gets let go by the Tennessee Titans. Are we happy about that for the future of the Titans, or are we kind of upset about it?
No, I thought Vrabel brought an attitude to the Titans. I mean, their roster has been depleted of talent for years, and somehow they were still competitive. They had horrible injuries on defense all year, probably the most injured defense I've seen since the 49ers like 3 years ago. And they still played. They had heart. And I just think he was put in a losing situation by the GM, and the owner sided with the GM.
Yeah, my question to this is, like, does this make your team any better? And I don't think it does. I mean, unless they're going after Belichick. We got news on Pete Carroll, too. I mean, it sounds like he's going to stay in the system in Seattle. I just feel like you're just going to go grab a random offensive or defensive coordinator, whether it's from your team or from another team or someone in the front office. I mean, there's not a whole lot of coaching changes that you can make to make it for the better. So naturally, I just feel like unless the decision of trading A.J. Brown was truly his and he was like, number one enemy, get rid of A.J. Brown right now, then on which case I get it. But at the same time, I just feel like waiting and hoping that an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator works, it doesn't sometimes, and that's the problem.
Well, apparently he did not get along with the new GM. The one that traded A.J. Brown, Robinson, he got fired last offseason, so they brought in a new guy. And I don't think that they got along quite well, Mike Vrabel and him. I don't know his name. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, the owner chose the new GM over the coach. Derrick Henry's off. It's just the end of an era. It's just had to be how it came to an end, sadly.
All right. Before we get their plan is, though, because is everyone just going to hop in on the Ben Johnson sweepstakes at this point, or the Jim Harbaugh sweepstakes? Because there's not a lot of great names out there.
There's not. Harbaugh and Ben Johnson are the two that I've been, that have been a lot. McDonald also I've been hearing quite a bit. The defensive coordinator for Baltimore. I guess so. I do think once you see what happened in Houston, you do kind of have to think like, okay, maybe there is one of these coordinators that's just ready to go and we can bring them in. D'Amico Ryans comes in and immediately changes that entire thing around. Maybe that's what they're thinking there. But yeah, it does seem kind of like there's not a lot of great options out there. And I don't think Houston's at the top of a lot of other a lot of coaches' lists to be like, that's the first destination I want to go. All right, let's go to Seattle real quick. Pete Carroll surprisingly let go as the coach. I mean, he retired, I think, is how they officially said it. But he was let go by Seattle. Kind of an end of an era there as well. I actually think this might be a boost for the offense long term, but I also think Mike Vrabel could very well end up being a Seattle Seahawk when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem with that attitude that they have there that Vrabel would be a good fit. I hate seeing Carroll go, but at his age, it makes a lot of sense. But we'll see.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll I'm glad they put out that message. Obviously, it's still a demotion for him. It's obviously the writing was on the wall there. Like they just missed the playoffs, and honestly, I think they could have made some noise in the playoffs as well. I mean, the team was playing well at the end there, but it's just one of those things that it's a new era for the Seattle Seahawks, and I think that with the new era just comes a coaching change. I don't think there was any like, you fucking suck, man. Like he almost got to the playoffs. I think had he gotten to the playoffs, they probably couldn't let him go. So I think they're probably, as an organization, kind of excited for the new turn. I mean, he's 70-something years old. I mean, obviously not getting any younger, and I think that there are younger coaches and that can do some more fun stuff with this elite skill set of a team that they have here. So
that roster is set up. It's probably the best situation of any of these teams.
Well, if you're a quarterback walking onto a team, I'd be very happy to go to Seattle.
Who would you say?
You say that. So that leads to the last firing, the one that made me the happy. Well, Brandon Staley also got fired, but we don't need to talk about that. That happened a while ago. I
needed that one.
Yeah, exactly. So
been calling for that for like 3 years
is actually not bad, but that roster's kind of a big change. Arthur Smith finally let go as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, the fantasy troll of all fantasy trolls. He did not like your fantasy team, and he decided to go down swinging to prove that the football doesn't need fantasy. He was out there to prove that he could win with whatever players were out on that field. Well, guess what? Atlanta had enough of it. Arthur Blank fired Arthur Smith, and now, guys, the world is our oyster when it comes to Atlanta Falcons. So are you all as happy about this as I am?
I don't think you can't be not excited about this. I honestly kind of thought that it might not happen for a second. And we've been talking about it since, I don't know, week 7 or 8 when this team just did absolutely nothing. We actually had them going to the playoffs, which is really funny. I'm pretty sure that was a U2 thing. Don't think I might have put behind it. I don't want to say anything. We had them going to the playoffs as the 7th seed. And that is clearly didn't happen, although it could have. Like, it was close enough to be the 4th seed. I mean, obviously with the division being wide open, but no, this is just phenomenal for all skill players on that team. Still a little worried about Pitts because I have a feeling that might be the first person not to get signed because they got a lot of big signings coming up with Bijan and probably London, and then obviously the quarterback that is inevitably going to take over here. So a bit dangerous, but exciting.
I'm thrilled. I'm glad Arthur Blank is going to pay full price for FedEx shipping now and get rid of that damn kid. He can go somewhere else except for my Bears.
Yep. Well, this is my dream situation for Ben Johnson. Just seeing the way that he used Sam Laporta, I'm like, look, Kyle Pitts, he's fun too. They got a running game there. You got Bijan, they got Tyler Algier. Fun to see how he would use that with like how he used Gibbs and David Montgomery. You have a number 1 wide receiver. He had Amon-Ra St. Brown. There is a Drake London sitting right there. It's just, this is my dream, is that he goes there. And the defense, not bad. Like, they're not bad. You can keep that defensive coordinator and that kind of defensive staff and be okay. I don't think that's a big issue. So I'm just happy that he's going to get in there and they're going to go either draft somebody with the 8th pick, or they could go after Justin Fields. I don't know. Like, maybe that's an option. We'll see what the Bears end up doing here. But like, there is just so many things on the table here to where this could end up being a very, very exciting team next year. And I think this is the team. If you took over, get the right coach, get a QB, even a decent QB, a Jared Goff types per se, this is a playoff team. easily. Should have won. Should have been the 7th seed this year. There's just too much talent on this team for them to fail this poorly. But you know what? Arthur Smith, he just wanted to see it happen, I guess.
Tried to sink the ship, man.
Sure did. And
Goodbye, Arthur Smith. Good riddance.
For himself. All right. On to the mock draft 1.0. So here's how this is going to work. We are going to throw out the picks as it's going, and then we're going to each kind of vote / discuss who we think should be taken with that pick, and try to have a discussion around it. So with that being said, the first overall pick right now in the NFL draft is the Chicago Bears. So Joe, I am actually going to defer to you with what do you think that the Chicago Bears should do?
Well, there are a lot of options here. I mean, we could trade back, which we can't do on this pod, and we're not going to do because PFF is not going to allow us. So what I want us to do is go ahead and just snag Marvin Harrison at 101. He is a legacy talent, but I have convinced myself that we will indeed take Caleb Williams. You cannot piss away the first overall pick 2 years in a row, and I think we get our quarterback here.
I mean, it's a good thing you didn't do it last year. But I think that the conversation is on the table. Justin Fields obviously put up a performance at the end of the year to give himself like, hey, I might keep my job here. I do have an argument for Caleb Williams being the number 2 quarterback off the board. I don't think it'll happen, but I think there is a chance that Michael Penix might surpass him, at least at some point during the draft process. I just want to put it out there. Obviously, more of a gunslinger type. Josh Allen probably would be a great comp for him, less running, but Josh Allen in the sense where it's just gunslinger, and would love to see him on like a Chargers. Justin Herbert might be another comp for him, but better, hopefully. It's obviously going to be Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. We understand that, but I'm just saying there's a conversation, and I just wanted to solidify that. But I personally think the Bears do take this and they take the first round pick, even though it would be super fun for them to trade back and ride Justin Fields. But they do have to pay him. That's the only issue, honestly.
I just want to figure out a way that Marvin Harrison lands on this team. Like, I don't know if we can pull the Texans and trade back up to 2 or some shit. I highly doubt it. But
so here's the option. Here's the options for trade. So one, you could have Washington could trade up just to make sure for sure that they get Caleb Williams. They could trade. Think you get a nice, good, big haul for them. It's kind of funny. We made a video before the year. What if Washington ends up with Caleb Williams? And then it's funny that now that actually could happen. So that's kind of interesting how that ended up working out. The Patriots could also trade up. Just judging off where we're looking at right here, I think the Falcons and the Titans could also be potentially in the running to do something similar. So, Joe, of picks 2, 3, 7, 8, who do you think you could rob basically to make this worthwhile trade of those 4? I think that's really the 4 that could trade up right now.
Yeah, I would probably say the Falcons because they'd have to give a hell of a lot to move up there. I would hate to miss out on Williams, Harrison, whoever else would be there, but we could get a killing in picks, and there's still some really good players down there at 8 and 9, so we could do a swing pick there, get who we want.
The thing that you'd have to do if you're still to get Marvin Harrison and then also potentially draft the quarterback of the future, you'd still actually keep Fields and draft the quarterback of your future with that ninth pick. Hopefully, obviously, there's a lot of teams ahead that need quarterbacks, but if you trade it down to 2 or 3, that's as low as you could possibly go to still get Marvin Harrison. In my opinion, I assume that that's pretty much general consensus at this point. But at the same time, like you could still get Penix or Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels or one of these quarterbacks that could be the future still, and still a first-round pick, but keep Fields and get some picks for the next year because more than likely Washington or the Patriots, whoever really wants Caleb Williams, is giving you their first-round pick next year again. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm a big Fields guy. Honestly, there's a lot with Caleb Williams that shares very similar traits with Fields, a la holding onto the ball for way too long and taking unnecessary sacks. So you're going to deal with that, but him coming out of college, at Oklahoma, USC is way better than Fields coming out of Ohio State. So I think Caleb Williams just hit reset, get a good wide receiver in there. You have DJ Moore, the defense looked better, rebuild the line. I think they have a lot of really good options this year. So
All right, since we can't trade, we're putting Caleb
That's all
Williams here,
fair.
I imagine.
Caleb Williams, number 1 overall.
Beautiful.
All right, now on to pick 2, which is the Washington Commanders. Also in need of a quarterback. They're going to have a new coach. They have a new owner. They also have Bob Myers, who ended up crafting the Warriors in the NBA, is now helping figure out who the coach is going to be and is helping with talent evaluation, which is interesting to say the least. Personally, I think they end up with Drake May, but I would love to hear what you all think.
I go Drake May too. He's, your pocket presence quarterback. Looks really good. People have comped into Justin Herbert. If you can get that guy at 2, hit reset on your season and go.
I got to really, once again, lean into the Penix, not because he has a cool name, but I really do think that he is going to be the number 2 quarterback overall. And I think there will be arguments about whether or not he'll be the first. Why? Why, Billy? Why not?
So, okay, Josh.
What has Drake May done since Josh Downs is gone?
We got to cut this off at the pass with Penix. He has had 2 catastrophic injuries. He's been in college for 6 years. Like, I think that we watched it in the national title game. The man looked like every hit that he took, that was about to be the last hit of his entire career. I don't know how in the world he is going to withstand. I do think he ends up in the first round. I just think it's going to be late in the first round. I don't think it's going to be at the beginning. I mean, he's already 24. He's about to be 25 next year. I don't know if he's going to be going as early as you think. I do think he might be end up be better than Drake May, but
that's my logic. And I played 6 years is really such a tough comparison because he played is a really hard word to say for him. But he was in college for 6 years. I'll give you that. But at the same time, I just feel like
2 catastrophic injuries.
We did this with Tyjae Spears too. He looked fine. Like, honestly, I understand that
I do not think those are comparable things.
Why? Everybody said that Tyjae Spears was a bust and he wasn't going to do anything. He looked fine. This is
I kind of want to meet you guys in the middle, though, on this one, because if Penix shows up to the combine and gets tested out by all the doctors and they say he's good to go, I could see him vaulting up into the top 15. In fact, that's in my mock. I have him going to the top 10.
What he
Spoiler
did
alert,
with Washington is amazing. I mean, I think everybody has to admit that is amazing. Obviously, they lost in the championship game, which, happens. You play a better team, better defense. But I think that he just keeps vaulting up the board over the season. So it's fine. We can choose Drake May here for our sake here, but I just wanted to.
I mean, here's the thing. I guess I kind of said Drake May. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels is going to be number 2 before it's all said and done. I even hinted at that on Twitter. I thought that it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I really like how athletic he is, and I think whoever gets in that 2 spot shouldn't overthink it and just go for who I think is the best athlete in this draft after Caleb Williams, and that's Jaden Daniels. But
I think with the last couple of years, though, I think the mobile quarterback is not being as highly valued anymore. We saw it with obviously Malik Willis. We had that hype for him. And then last year, again, we had hype for the mobile quarterback. Obviously, Anthony Richardson didn't play the full season. He looked good, but didn't look good throwing the ball. I don't think I'm not saying anyone. I'm sure there is someone that's going to draft him. He's going to play. I don't think you're reaching with the second pick for the mobile quarterback in hopes that I feel like people need to stop reaching. I know. Yeah. I understand that. But I'm just saying, like, the mobile quarterback is important, but it's not the number 1 priority after the last couple of years.
Right. I just think, like, we saw Lamar Jackson once, and we shouldn't let him not go high again. Like, that, I think that should be.
I agree. I personally think he'll be good. For the second, I think Drake May or Penix would be the number 2 or 3 off the board.
Yeah. Joe, I feel like you're going to have to break the tie here. What do you want to do?
I'm going Drake. I think right now it's a 2-horse race. I mean, I could absolutely see Daniels going 2 once the combine's over. Penix, like I said, I think he can jump into the top 10. But I think Drake May, you're a new coaching staff. You're not going to swing for the fences on your first pick. So get Drake May, get the solid quarterback in there. He's better than Howell.
That's true.
I mean, yeah. So, okay, Drake May off the board at Washington. We can speed up a bit.
It's kind of funny, by the way, before we get to the next one. So Sam Howell, North Carolina quarterback, and who took over for Sam Howell? Drake May, who's also would take over for him in the pros as well. That would be kind of a funny storyline.
That would be great.
All right, number
All
3, another quarterback needed. I'm imagining this will go
Patriots
where they
have the
go.
3rd pick overall, just to announce it to everyone. Yes, also need a quarterback. I am perplexed at what they're going to do. I don't know if Bill Belichick's in charge of picking the I don't think he's going to be in charge of picking the players now. So I don't know. I don't even know where they go here.
Isn't
I
he
would
off the
pick
team?
Jaden Daniels, but not
At the end of the year,
officially.
isn't Belichick done? Oh, okay.
They haven't officially
We
let
don't
him
know.
go.
We don't know yet. I mean, with Vrabel in play, who knows? Because he was a big Patriot guy, so maybe it helped that decision. I don't know. We don't know yet, though. But
Okay.
GM Bill Belichick has made some interesting decisions over the last 3 or 4 years as far as drafting goes. My pick would be
on
Jaden
one hand-
Daniels, but I will listen to anything.
On one hand, I
Jaden
could see
Daniels.
them looking for the new age, like, well, people have mobile quarterbacks, so we need to do it finally after having Tom Brady for fucking 45 years. But at the same time, something about him just screams like Bo Nix. Or like,
Yeah.
Penix personally
Yeah,
is still on my. I think he's going to be in the top 5 at the end of it all. But I'm okay with Jaden Daniels. I just don't see Robert Kraft jumping on board with the mobile tight ends. You see too many, gunslingers out there, and that's what I think the Patriots would want. But at the same time, they have no one to sling the ball to. So
At the same time,
They-
they need a quarterback, though.
They
So
do.
I just think it's Jaden Daniels. I don't think
You
they're
give
kind of the same
him
argument, I think.
Heisman winner, and you just let him go. I think that would be the sell to the fan base.
fair enough. Jaden Daniels to the New England Patriots at number 3.
All right, number 4, the Cardinals are on the clock.
Kyler
I
Murray
think
is his best friend, man.
Yes, I think this is where Kyler Murray would pick up Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, he's the best wide receiver in the draft. He is AJ Green incarnate, and I think he's going to immediately come in and just be the best wide receiver that they could have possibly gotten on this team.
I love how the actual I was kind of shocked actually the fact that they committed to Kyler Murray. I almost thought it might be a ploy. One thing that could be really interesting is because Justin Fields hypothetically would be in play with this draft right now. Justin Fields could make it to this team. There could be a 3-way trade. They could figure out a way to get Justin Fields there, get rid of Kyler Murray. Obviously, they're going to commit to him now that he's healthy, but who knows what it's going to look like next year, so or even beyond that. So, but yeah, no, I mean, this is a no-brainer. Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals. He doesn't make it past 4.
Believe me, everyone out there,
Sorry, Billy, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, believe me, everyone out there, we're going to be talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot this draft season. So, we're not going to talk about it a ton here, but believe me, by April, you're going to be sick of him. You're just going to be like, well, okay, whatever. I'm tired of hearing about it. Kind of like Bijan last year.
Yeah, absolutely salivating over getting him on a fantasy team.
For sure. Okay, on to pick number 5. We got the Chargers. This is actually the first one where they could go in so many directions. They need so much on this team. It is a full-ass rebuild, and one that they're probably going to need multiple drafts to actually do everything with. But, guys, I mean, this could be a tight end. This could be a wide receiver. This could be a defensive player. We could go anywhere we want with this. So where would you all like to start with this massive rebuild with Justin Herbert?
Before we start, I want to start with this is the first real trade back candidate other than the Bears because they need so many picks and they need so many positions. There are teams that have 2 picks coming up. They have a chance to kind of take over and get some real talent here. Obviously, I would lean towards Malik Neighbors, but I mean, that seems excessive. It depends on what they do in the offseason with their wide receivers. But I imagine that all 3 of them, well, Keenan Allen is the biggest question mark if he's going to keep playing. But I personally think it's Neighbors. I think it's a no-brainer. Get the best offensive weapon available. Help out Herbert as much as you can. Offensive line could help him out a lot as well. So
yeah, I have offensive line. I have him going with Olu Fashanu from Penn State because that dude's an absolute monster. You got to protect Justin Herbert. He's the only asset on your team to speak of. So protect him, figure out receivers later. It's a really deep draft and go from there.
I think you're right. I think that's where you start. I mean, they did take Rashawn Slater. So yeah. No, I think you're right, Joe. I think that's a good call.
I think for fantasy purposes, Neighbors is an awesome pick here, but I think they just got
Bowers would be nice too.
Yeah, Bowers would be sweet.
IDP side, Cooper DeJean would be fantastic, but I think
people are going to learn their lesson, and Bowers is not going in the top 5. We're not.
It's a little rich. It would be nice if they traded back and then picked him up in like a later spot. I think you're right about that.
This is great for a QB needy team before other people get there. I mean, the Chargers could easily trade back with, I don't know, the Falcons. The Falcons could jump up, and then the Giants would be screwed. You know what I mean? This is going to be a trade for sure. I'm good with Fashanu because I actually have him as my number 1 tackle off the board as well. But it's just more of the logic of I don't think they make this pick.
We can do that.
I think we can do that. Capitalize on it too much.
Well, for this one, we'll do Fashanu. That's not a bad pick. On to number 6, which is the Giants, who also sneakily kind of need a quarterback, but we're not going to go down that road.
Not kind
of. I think wide receiver might be the way they go. I think it's finally time for them to pull the trigger and actually get a wide receiver that is usable in the first round. I think this is where I would go with Malik Neighbors, but what do you guys think?
I mean, I personally think they're going to be targeting a quarterback unless all of them get stolen, and then in which case they might do something later. Or do something in the offseason, find someone somewhere else, but it's not Daniel Jones starting this next year. They're not comfortable with it at the very least. But yeah,
what's Minshew's contract? They should go after Minshew. He'd be perfect for New York.
I think he just signed a 1-year deal with the Colts, actually.
That'd be perfect for New York to go pick him up.
We got some pretty interesting quarterbacks. We got, obviously, Wentz is more of a backup quarterback. You got Cousins on the move, probably. You got Geno Smith on the move, probably. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks out there. I could see Cousins in a lot of those
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. I mean, yeah. No, exactly. There are – oh, man, that would be hilarious for the Giants. But I'm just saying there are quarterbacks out there that aren't free agents. But the problem is free agency happens before the draft. So you have to make this decision beforehand. So
Brock Bowers is the pick.
Oh my God!
Are going to take Brock Bowers. They try to do it with Darren Waller. He's 32 years old. Dable wants his tight end, and Tommy DeVito is going to be throwing dimes to Brock Bowers next year. You can start off having Darren Waller and Brock Bowers on the field. You got Hyatt for speed. You got Slayton there. You got Wan'Dale Robinson. Get Saquon back in there. I know they said they wouldn't, and that offense will be cooking.
Joe, this energy is what I wanted for this. This is amazing.
Completely chaos. They need a wide receiver 1, dude. You cannot go out there. I understand Brock Bowers is essentially a wide receiver, or as close as you can get to a Travis Kelce or Kyle Pitts pick. But no, absolutely.
It makes too much sense in my head for it not to be the pick.
I love it, Joe. My vote's for Malik Neighbors. Josh, what are you thinking?
It's Neighbors, dude. I'm sorry. But I love it. Dude, I do love it.
I need this.
Malik Neighbors is so effing good. It is unreal.
He is, and a lot of people out there are going to be thinking oh, well, he had the Heisman quarterback. Well, he had the Heisman quarterback, so that's no. He was as much a part of him winning that Heisman as he was being the quarterback. So, no, if you
have that 103 in dynasty leagues, man, you better be happy as hell.
Yes,
I also like Adunze a lot, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Adunze is awesome.
Yeah, we got some more wide receivers coming. This is a good wide receiver year, so I'm pretty happy about that. All right, with pick number 7, the Titans are on the clock. New coach, who dis? Guys, I know they need a quarterback. I think they should trade up for one, but I don't think they're going to do it either. So, who do we think they're taking?
I haven't taken Joe Alt, man. It's a boring pick for a boring team and a boring quarterback.
No, I think it's Adunze here. So my main thing is they fucked up the Treylon Burks pick. It is very clear. We understand that. It's not his fault, but 600 yards through 2 seasons when you traded AJ Brown for him, pretty much straight up. Not great. Not looking great. But Adunze here, you're getting a big body guy. You have some potential in Treylon Burks still. But the thing is, they're not in win now mode. This is a full rebuild. I mean, at least a semi-rebuild. They can't draft a quarterback for the 3rd straight year. And I would love to see them do it, but it almost feels like, well, we're not starting until we get our quarterback. And that's the issue here. They can't do it unless someone falls to them perfectly, which I believe we still have Penix on the board technically at the moment. But I think they got to go wide receiver. It's just weird drafting a quarterback 3 years in a row.
Not quarterback. We're talking Joe Alt, the tackle.
Oh, no, I know.
Which So they fucked up the O-line pick last year with Skoronski. That hasn't worked out yet. And then, they fucked up the Treylon Burks pick 2 years ago. So I don't know. I guess
bad drafts.
It's not been good for the Titans these last couple of years because Caleb Farley was 3 years ago. And then Isaiah Wilson before that. Man, they've had a disaster of a draft the last 4 years even. I think it's Joe Alt. I'm siding with Joe on this.
I mean, I like the Dunze pick, but I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot for you after the catch. I don't know if Levis is going to be able to make use of him. And I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Hopkins right now. I mean, I assume they're going to let him go, but they're going to eat almost $8 million in cap. So
no, I think it's just more about you. You almost as this organization, you have to make the splashy pick, and I think a tackle is not the pick that they're going to make. But I'm good with it. Joe Alt's phenomenal.
I think they're going to circle back around and get a wide receiver later in the draft, and that wide receiver will be good too.
That's fine. We can go
a different Washington wide receiver maybe.
Joe Alt is a top 5 pick. I mean, easily. So
the Falcons are on the clock now. If I had to pick what they would do with Arthur Smith, it would be Brock Bowers because they hate everyone and hate us. But luckily, they're going to have a new voice involved, so they're going to have to get somebody new here. They could go quarterback. They could go wide receiver. I'm assuming if they go offensive minded head coach, they're probably going to go quarterback. So
no, they're absolutely
I have
drafting
Michael Penix here.
It's Penix, and he doesn't make it
they
past
could go.
this.
I think
he walks into a situation with stud weapons, and you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah,
his age isn't going to harm him here.
So it's definitely not the Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Justin Jefferson year of like that trio of wide receivers, but this trio that he had at Washington, damn close. Odunze, Jalen McMillan, and Jalen Polk, all going to be good in the NFL. And Penix was, helping them all. They were not 5-star guys. All those other guys were 5-star. These guys were not, and he made them that good. So, yeah, Penix is a good pick for Atlanta.
I just want to
acquire Drake London this offseason.
My draft has Jaden Daniels here, and that would be electric, and I love everything about it.
That would be electric.
That would be great.
Penix is fine as well for the time being.
All right, pick number 9. The Bears are back on the clock with their own pick this time, Joe, which is good. They were picking at 9 last year, and they fucked it up. So, Joe, with this year's 9th pick, what are they going to do to not mess it up?
Trade it to the Eagles.
So I had a dream scenario here where we get Malik Neighbors. Obviously, he is gone in our draft, so I would do a Dunze.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, if they're not getting Marvin Harrison, they're still going after one of these big wide receivers. So any 3 of these wide receivers one of these 3 are gonna end up on the team. So Dunze is the leftover one. I completely agree.
A Dunze it is at 9 to the Bears. Oh, I love that. That's going to be good.
That would be a draft too, right there. A Dunze, you got your big guy, you got DJ Moore, you got Komet's signed for a few years too, right? I mean, and then add something in free agency. This offense starting to sprout up something.
Yeah, looks fun.
Hopefully, offensive line is your target in free agency for the Bears.
Pick number 10 on the clock is the New York Jets. So I think we can all admit O-line is where we're probably headed here. I don't know if I had him as the 3rd best, but what did you all think?
I don't know as much about tackles once we get past the top 10, so I was that's best available. I know they're going offensive line. It could be a guard too.
I had J.C. Latham here, but they just need to pick a tackle. That's pretty much what they need.
Do Latham, do J.C. Latham. I like him.
I got no arguments here. It's offensive line though. They already have the offense there. Could use another wide receiver, but I think they can find someone in free agency or later in the draft.
They need O-line because with Aaron Rodgers back there, this O-line this year is not going to work. All right, pick number 11 is the Minnesota Vikings. They need just about an entire team except for wide receivers. So, with that being said, what I don't even know where you start with this rebuild, guys. I really don't.
I got Kool-Aid going here. I know it might not be the best pick. They don't need a tight end. We got Brock Bowers still on the board. I had him on my board as well at this point. But Defensive back makes the most sense. It's the first defensive back off the board, which I personally don't think it makes it to 11, just because cornerbacks usually make it. One sneaks in there high. But Kool-Aid or Nate Wiggins, I mean, it could be Cooper DeJean as well. I mean, they're all good picks. They're all going to be good corners for teams. I feel like Kool-Aid's just phenomenal. So,
yeah, I was kind of up in the air between Wiggins and Dallas Turner here. I think they go Turner, and you got Danielle Hunter for 2 more years. Billy, I want to know why you don't like Dallas Turner.
I just think he's a dirty player, Joe. That's it. I mean, it doesn't mean he's a bad player. I just think that he is really dirty. He's injured.
Don't the Vikings need that shit though? They need some dirt.
I mean, sure.
Grit,
if they want to get back to the purple people eaters or whatever. I mean, if they want to get back to that era, sure, by all means. But like, I don't know, man. I just think he's a dirty player. He's injured quite a few good quarterbacks in college.
He's going to fit in right in with the NFL. That's a good thing.
I don't love it, but at the same time,
sounds like a guy I want on my team.
Vontez Burfict had a career, so
can we sign him to the Saints at 14? People don't forget.
Let's go Kool-Aid. I like that. I think there's no way a cornerback doesn't go this high.
I think it goes higher personally. I just don't know how.
I think you're right, and I think with all of the trades that get done, we'll see it open up a little bit more. But
100%.
How it is
going to be
presently constituted, I think that's how it is.
Wow, fancy words.
All right, with number 12 on the clock is the Denver Broncos. Also need a quarterback, but I don't think they go one here. I think this is where Cooper DeJean goes, but I'm willing to listen.
That would be so nasty with Surtain.
I actually had Bo Nix going here because I think they're desperate after the Russell Wilson. They need someone, whether it's, I mean, they can obviously make a move in free agency, but you need a starter now. Russell's obviously off the team. They made that clear. This is where I had Bo Nix going. I think it's a little early for him, but I think that they're desperate enough to where they need it. And there's some QB teams behind them that could snag one. So that's what I had here, but I could see Brock Bowers going there too.
Yeah, I just think you go Brock Bowers and call it a day if you're Denver.
Okay. Yeah.
Get yourself the generational tight end.
Don't
help your quarterback.
Love Sean Payton's use of tight end, but we can hopefully.
I mean, Jimmy Graham's first few years were phenomenal. So, I mean.
Yeah, it's just that was, a decade ago at this point?
Just long time ago.
Feels so long ago at this point.
Brock Bowers is on the Broncos.
Brock Bowers is a Bronco. So pick 13 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Also a team that needs a quarterback. Eventually, we're going to find out in free agency which one of these teams does need a quarterback, but they currently do. I think they go O-line because I think that is the bigger concern here. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm kind of confused about this one.
I think this is also a Bo Nix territory. I don't know where you. What is your hang up on Bo Nix? How far back do you have him? Before I keep bringing him up.
So I only had the 3. Like I have Penix going later in the 20s, but I only have the 3 at the top, and then I have nobody else going. Like I've heard JJ McCarthy. I don't want to hear anything more about JJ McCarthy. He's not a first round quarterback. And then we got Bo Nix and Penix, which I think are going to sneak into the back half of the first round. But I just don't have them. I don't know. They're too old for me. I just don't feel like old quarterbacks work out well.
Trade back. Yeah, you and Joe both have age issues. I don't personally. I think that I do think it's a little early here, and this could be another one of those trade back scenarios with one of these teams who they know, the Buccaneers, or let's say they signed Baker Mayfield to a 2-year contract. They know they're not going to do it. Or, if it's the Miami Dolphins, they got Tua, the Eagles trade up for this pick. One of those teams that already has a quarterback locked up. They could easily do that. But there are teams in the back half that do need a quarterback. You got the Rams. You got potentially the Bucs if they don't sign someone. There's the Steelers. I mean, there are quarterbacks that are going to go in those 20s. So I think that's why I had Bo Nix. Well, actually, I'm going to the Broncos, but Raiders work too.
Yeah, I had Nate Wiggins here. I feel like they got to hit on a quarterback or a cornerback outside of Hobbs. But
okay, so Cooper or Nate Wiggins, Josh, which one?
Let's go Nate Wiggins for Joe.
Okay,
I know it's not spelled
correct. Going to Vegas, man. I appreciate it.
All right, on to the Saints. They pick number 14. This is where I had Jerzon Newton going. I think that he's probably going to end up being a top 10 pick, but at the time with how this is shook out so far, I have him fall into the Saints.
I had J.C. Latham going here, so I would put Fuaga or another offensive tackle. I think that's not the prettiest pick, but the Saints need some offensive line help. So,
I had Laiatu Latu from UCLA going here.
Love that.
I just think
that's a good pick.
Yeah, I just think at some point you got to start rebuilding this defense, and that is a good step to doing so.
Okay.
I know Granderson had a year, but
one of these edge rushers has got to come up. So it's either Turner, Verse, or Latu. Take any of them, I guess. What are you thinking, Josh?
I don't have a preference. I have Verse first, technically. So really, in reality, I am not helping at all. We are all split.
Let's go Verse.
All right, yeah, nice. I had him going.
That's probably the pick. Jared Verse was a top 10 pick last year, or should have been a top 10 pick last year. So with that happening, all right, on to pick 15, the Colts. I do think there is multiple directions this could go. I don't really see wide receiver happening for them. I know that's what it says their top need is. I think it's more defensive line or defensive back. So which of those two do you guys have?
I don't think that's the top need, by the way. I think that's
I
just
have Troy
like,
Franklin going here.
I think it's kind of in order, like QB, right, running back, wide receiver, like that kind of order.
I think if you pair Franklin's speed with Richardson's arm, only good things are going to happen. They tried to do it with Alec Pierce, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I really do think wide receiver would work here. I actually originally had Brock Bowers going here because I thought that was generational, something that they've been trying to find in the third and fourth rounds for the longest time, and it hasn't worked. But I really do think they go wide receiver here. That's what they're missing is another piece. But it is tough because Alec Pierce and Josh Downs both have skills. They're just not there, so it almost feels like a replacement. So I could see them skipping out on wide receiver as well.
That's true. So you have Troy Franklin over Keon Coleman, right? Like that's what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would be okay with DeJean here. I think that's also something they could do. They need to make this – or Newton.
I have a lot of guys over Keon Coleman, to be honest with you.
Interesting, Joe. I didn't know that you turned on Coleman like that.
I did.
Wow. End of an era. I just feel like Cooper, DeJean, and Newton – it'd be tough for me to say they make it this far down the board. But
yeah, I was gonna say I think it's DeJean just for the simple fact that they or Newton, one or the other, just for the simple fact that they do need to boost that defense. That's one of their biggest issues. And okay. I don't think they're going to replace any of these wide receivers yet is the issue. Like obviously they're probably going to sign Pittman back, and then Josh Downs and Pierce are both there. Obviously they could use help, but I just don't think that that's a draft pick, first round draft pick. Basically saying someone's out.
Probably right. All right, let's pick Cooper DeJean here, and we'll move on. Pick 16 is the Seattle Seahawks. I have them taking Troy Fontanu from Washington as their guard. What do you think, Joe?
I had, I don't know how to say this guy's name, Taliace Fuaga from Oregon State. I feel like you can move him inside and let Lucas and Cross have the outside. Just have a monster of a line there.
And I had Jared Verse going here, so I was going to pick Dallas Turner or Latu.
Doesn't it seem like Seattle has added like 100 defensive linemen the last year?
Dude, honestly, their team is really good.
Yeah.
I actually really feel bad for the Seattle Seahawks and their fan base because their team is really good, and honestly, they're a quarterback away. This is another potential spot for Bo Nix, in my opinion. They're going to get a new quarterback. I'm surprised quarterback's not on their needs.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy I'm saying also played tackle too. They just project him to be a guard at the next level. We could go with Fuaga or Fontanu, whichever one you want to go, Josh.
Let's go Fuaga. Let's get him off the board. I've seen his name too much.
Okay. On the clock now is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're going defensive end. That is just me personally. So mine would be Dallas Turner.
I actually had this being my first guard off the board.
Yeah,
Joe?
I had Brian Thomas going here because Calvin Ridley
You
is
just went
out.
wide receiver heavy, didn't you?
I did, man. I got him locked up on wide receivers in this first round. But is he T. Higgins? Is the question.
Well,
I mean,
is Ridley
kinda
a
looked like
free agent after this year?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just don't know if they spend a top first round pick on.
I mean,
on
dude,
one.
this is make or break for Trevor Lawrence. If he has not done it thus far, so if you can't throw more weapons at him this year and get it done, then I don't know if you're going to.
They're saying the needs are an interior line, and personally, that's something you get later as of PFF in general. I mean, you can add some talent there, but you can also get some in free agency and a generational talent as a wide receiver. We lost a few of the top ones, but I do agree that wide receiver, if they do not sign Calvin Ridley, they are getting a wide receiver here.
Okay, so you want to go Brian Thomas?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Joe.
I feel like Brian Thomas is too boring of a name.
I originally
really
had Dallas Turner, which is also pretty
Just
boring,
me,
but
just me personally.
I mean, I think honestly, I have Troy Franklin ranked above him, but I think for what he brings to the table, you already have Christian Kirk there, so I would go Thomas.
the accountant
that is
2.0.
The accountant
Dan Arnold's
2.0.
brother.
All right, the Bengals are on the clock at pick 18. I think we have to have Jerzon Newton off the board at some point. This is probably the last spot that makes sense. I mean, Green Bay usually likes to screw things up, but that he's not going to fall this far in the actual draft. So I don't know.
Yeah, and
I have him
honestly,
going at
this
21.
I have him at 9 to the Bears. So finally getting their Jalen Carter a lot later. But I also had them grabbing Marvin Harrison the first pick and keeping Fields potentially, or trading for Marvin Harrison at 3 logically. Yeah, I originally in this pick had Mims, offensive tackle. I think just keeping Joe Burrow healthy is at all cost. But
Yeah,
part of that Georgia Bulldog run.
Okay. I you could talk me into Mims here. I feel like it's either Newton or Mims.
I agree that Newton being alive here should be the draft pick personally, though. So I would definitely swing to Newton with our live draft at the moment.
You're not gonna like mine, so I'm gonna.
What do you got? Is it a tight end?
Montez Walker,
Is it a
Oh
wide
my
receiver?
gosh, you went all wide receivers, Joe?
dude. I am all in on the wide receivers this year. I think there's so many just banging talents here.
enthusiasm. I love
I
your
I mean, I
wide
just
receiver
assume Higgins and Boyd are
enthusiasm.
gone, and
Higgins is
why not
definitely
get
gone.
Walker's awesome, by the way.
But you can get a lot. He is awesome, but I think you're going to be able to get a lot of these guys cheaper in the next round. Like, I think that is the thought process.
I actually disagree with you right now, Billy, but I do disagree with Joe putting them this high. I think there is going to be a wide receiver run, but I think it comes at the back, kind of what it did last year.
Well,
The
I mean,
Bucks
I agree. I
potentially-
just there's too many wide receivers to not. I mean, they're not all going to be in the first round. Some of them are going to fall to the second.
Bucks,
yeah, I
I
Cardinals,
just think I'm
Steelers.
looking at this draft, and every team that pops up coming in the next like 10 picks needs wide receivers, with the
Eagles.
exception of the Rams and the Eagles.
We'll start moving
Dolphins
through
would
some
probably
of
use
them,
it.
I'm sure.
Eagles need a wide receiver too, man.
Yeah.
We still don't have a third one.
All right, so Mims and the Newton
No,
slide.
I'm actually going
continues.
Newton. I'm going
Okay.
Newton. I changed mine from Newton or Mims to Newton.
Okay.
But yes,
On to the Green Bay Packers, who surprisingly don't need wide receivers. This is like the first time in forever I can ever remember that they actually had wide receivers on the team, and you didn't need to pick one in the first round. So this one, they'll probably pick a defensive player because they refuse to do anything on offense. What are they going to waste their pick on?
This is where I had Mims going. I think they need to protect Love.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
that's-
They just got they know they're going to keep Jordan Love. I would agree with that.
We'll go Mims then. Another
Especially
Mims.
if they get rid of Bakhtiari.
Got a lot of Mims these days. They just keep popping
Yeah.
up.
Not a Mims.
All right. On the clock, pick 20 is the Buccaneers. I think Baker might be getting an extension this offseason. I think they just kind of like his vibe. They also need a lot. I'm kind of offended that it says they need running back on the screen because Well, I mean, he hasn't been that bad. Rashad White. I don't know if they need a running back, but they definitely need O-line and they definitely need a lot of defense. So my pick would be Dallas Turner with how the board's shaking out.
Yeah, I would have to go with Dallas Turner too. I had a corner, but he's long gone. So
Yeah, I had Cooper DeJean here, but Terrion Arnold would probably be my next pick.
yeah, I mean, I could lean Arnold or Turner. Honestly, I originally had Wiggins down here. Sorry, Joe, I had you a little
No,
later.
you're good. I mean, I had Turner going way earlier, so he probably should be the pick at this point.
It's probably Turner, just based on
Yeah, because they need
he falls in.
everything. It's not like they specifically need corner really badly. They need
Well,
all
they
of it.
definitely need defense. That defense this
Yeah.
year has been woof.
Yeah,
at
I'm
times.
gonna go with Dallas Turner.
Woof, woof.
Everybody's cool. Actually, I already clicked it, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, pick 21 is the Cardinals back on the clock thanks to the Houston Texans. We got a wide receiver with the first pick. So the next pick will have to be offensive line or defense. I know what Joe's probably going to say. Let's go another wide receiver, but do we think that's a good strategy or should
Double
we
No.
dip on wide receiver there.
No,
Exactly.
honestly though,
double dog and wide receivers?
honestly
Double
with
target wide
George, Michael Wilson, and Marvin Harrison, and potentially something in free agency. I mean, this team's not bad at wide receiver, especially with Marvin Harrison joining. I can understand. I can
No,
see them
definitely.
getting a veteran to join this team instead of drafting a second wide receiver. I mean, I'm sure they'll probably add one in like the late rounds, like third or fourth.
It just kind of depends what they do with Marquise Brown. I mean, he has not shown
Oh, he's gone.
anywhere near enough to.
Sorry.
to
In
land a big
my
contract.
brain and fairy tale world that I just made up, he was gone.
Fairy
Yeah.
tale world.
I assume that's always been ever since this year. I've just been like, what is he going to do?
I don't think they're
So
gonna be able to
maybe
afford him.
maybe Terrion Arnold. That seems to be a pick that would happen here. Cornerback.
Give me Latu, man.
Okay. I could
I'm
listen
cool
to
with Latu here. I originally had Brian Thomas here, Joe. Your guy.
Yeah.
The accountant.
that.
So
Okay.
you're double dogging wide receivers here.
No, bro. In my original draft, they drafted Joe Alt. They were protecting Kyler Murray.
Can you really protect Kyler Murray?
I mean, they could try.
No,
Hopefully, he's
for
a
sure.
short offensive lineman. I should have looked that up before I was prepared to draft him.
Draft him based on height.
All right. Latu to the Cardinals.
Yep. Latu to the Cardinals.
Okay.
Edge rusher. So pick 22 is the LA Rams. I had Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, going here to beef up that O-line. But they do need a ton of defense, and they could sneaky take a QB, even though I think they might go one later. Yes, Josh.
I originally had JJ McCarthy going here. I understand that it was ridiculous and excessive, but I do that kind of stuff. Bo Nix is still on the board. This is where he goes. If he's at 22, the Rams are looking for succession plan for Stafford, and it's not anything rude. Bo Nix could sit behind. I mean, they do have Stetson Bennett, but I don't think they believe in him. They got Carson Wentz backing him up. So
Stetson Bennett is never playing football again, by the way.
I mean, I understand that. I'm just saying they hypothetically have him on the team. So
That's
I can't believe you'd have JJ McCarthy this high, Josh. What the hell?
I understand that. I just think that this is a QB draft. I think this is what
I
happens.
refuse to allow a man who threw 10 pass completions in the national title to be a first-round draft pick. I can't.
Dude,
do
did
it.
you watch
It's
them
everything I
run
believe
on
in.
Washington? He
That
didn't
team
even
is
have
just
to
really
throw that
good.
ball.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
team
I
is
don't
just
know.
really good.
And when they did need him to throw the ball, he was not doing well. So,
All right.
no.
Give me
First
Terrion
JJ
Arnold
McCarthy.
here.
JJ McCarthy is the trap draft pick this year. We don't know who it is every year. This year, it's JJ McCarthy. It was Malik Willis 2 years ago. It was Will Levis last year. It's JJ McCarthy this year. I swear. He's not going in the first round.
First fireball bet of the new year and the new draft. JJ McCarthy.
You're betting
goes
me
in the
that
first round.
JJ McCarthy's not
Yeah.
okay.
Fuck it, dude. I'll take the L if I take it,
the
but I just.
easiest of money.
Josh, I'll join you on that shot, by the way.
Are you on my
I'm your
side?
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
I think
I would
these
go
quarterbacks
Terrion
go a
Arnold,
lot higher
man.
than you do, Billy. I think Bo Nix is long gone by this.
Oh, well, we also thought that Kenny Pickett year that there was going to be a bunch in the first round. We had one, and that one was a mistake. So I'm very,
Yeah,
very
it's
a new
happy
year.
with taking
This
Not
one
a
has
year.
3 in the top 3 though, and I think that people get desperate and people make silly mistakes, whether it's JJ McCarthy or not. I don't think it's a start right away. I think it'll be one of these teams back here.
Well, JJ McCarthy needs to learn how to throw, and then he can be a quarterback.
And
Anywho,
Steelers,
So we can put Bo Nix here as a placeholder for now. I don't
I
know.
think they go cornerback, dude. I really. They've been getting kind of burned. Yeah, I like Arnold.
They need to rebuild this whole team, though, is the problem. And I think quarterback makes the most sense with this team. That's why I originally went J.J. McCarthy, because Bo Nix was off the board for me. So he was the next best available. And they need to rebuild this team in the future, for the future. They have Puka. They have fun weapons. The defense can come later. The offense has obviously shown that they can make it work.
They could go Lad McConkey and just handcuff Cooper Kupp.
Lad McConkey.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're not drafting wide receiver, Joe. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. But they got Tutu Atwell. He's so good.
Or Demarcus Robinson.
Demarcus out of nowhere.
So Bo
Nix, we good? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Bo Nix to the card, or Rams.
All right, so the Steelers are pick 23. I don't really think anything they need is this high. So just based on who we have up here, I'd probably go Terrion Arnold. But they also could have one of their wide receivers just storm off the field at any point, and that could open up an opportunity for somebody. So I would probably go Terrion Arnold now, but I mean, they could need a wide receiver at the end of the playoffs. I don't know.
They desperately need an actual one wide receiver. Pickens has not shown any sort of maturity that he can do that job. And Deontay Johnson is, after this year, I don't have a good feeling about Deontay Johnson at all, even if I ever did. But this is where I had J.J. McCarthy going. I think Tomlin swings and misses again at quarterback.
Yeah, I would actually – I originally had Terrion Arnold here because J.J. McCarthy got picked the pick before. But I do agree with Joe.
Arnold.
No, I agree with Joe. J.J. McCarthy. This is the last team that needs a quarterback, and they need it bad. Whether it's the future, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's the next day. McCarthy just won a national title game. He's coming hot. I think this team is a run-first team. I think that makes sense for J.J. McCarthy. I think they bolster the offensive line later. I really do think he can be a system quarterback. And the Steelers system has to get better.
Okay.
And also, it's hilarious because Billy's just getting flustered over here. All the audio listeners, dude, he's red as
They're drafting a quarterback worse than Kenny Pickett. Like, how ridiculous.
Dude, he's not worse than Kenny Pickett.
Yes, he is. He's much worse. Kenny Pickett actually threw in college. J.J. McCarthy hasn't. Have
you measured J.J. McCarthy's hands?
J.J. McCarthy threw for 60 yards in a game this season. That seriously happened.
I mean, he didn't have to play. Why would he risk any of that?
So you want him in the NFL, and in the actual national title game, they had to bring him off the field and put another quarterback in to do their rushing package.
I think we're shifting from the mobile quarterback thing. I really do. I don't think it's started just yet, but I think it's going to be started in the next year plus.
Well, I'll tell you what quarterback will never work out: one that completes 10 passes in a football game. But here we are. On to pick 24.
Did they win the game?
Dolphins. Yes, thank God, 200 yards on the ground. If that's going to work in the pros,
they got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. They'll be fine. They get 200 yards on the ground.
It's not worked out for Kenny Pickett. Why would it work out for a guy that can complete?
Because J.J. McCarthy can actually throw the ball.
We have seen worse quarterbacks.
That's how I know you haven't watched him. That is how I know you haven't watched him. Because he can actually throw the ball. Look at what Kenny Pickett did in college. Pick 24 is the Miami Dolphins. They don't really need a wide receiver. Joe, I feel like you're going to find somebody to put here, but I think O-line.
Just for shits and grins, putting Troy Franklin on this team would be fucking phenomenal.
To be fair, I thought it would be Xavier Worthy, because I think Xavier Worthy is perfect for Mike McDaniel.
You like Xavier Worthy, man?
Not really, but just for Mike McDaniel's system, I think he is perfect. He is the guy that he likes for this type of system.
I was really high on Xavier Worthy going into this year, and the more I watch him, just out completely.
I mean, I agree. The place that he would be in, I like him for.
I had Jordan Morgan here because this is their, I don't want to say last hurrah, but one of the last hurrahs if this team is going to work out. Protect Tua. So, because if Tyreek is actually going to retire at the end of this year, like he originally said, then, which I don't believe personally, but I'm just saying if that's the hypothetical case, they're not going to try to add more to that. They're going to feed the shit out of Tyreek Hill. And they're going to protect Tua and give him more time to throw it to Tyreek Hill.
I had Graham Barton from Duke just because he can play any position on the line, and I do see this as a luxury pick, so get the line working.
I'm okay with that either. I just think offensive line keep this team together, but that would actually make sense to have someone be able to float and potentially take over different spots.
Get your 6 man on the line.
You on Graham Barton? We good?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Now, Joe, I'm really glad we didn't pick Troy Franklin because this is where he goes.
Yep. Pick 25 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Troy Franklin, come on down.
He is what Quez Watkins was supposed to be.
Okay.
The third guy on the team. Okay. Wow. I thought there was going to be more.
I had Kool-Aid going here. I think you guys really need a DB.
I would not
Troy
be
Franklin would
Kool-Aid.
be sick.
I do think I could see a cornerback going here, but wide receiver is something they need as well, though.
Yeah.
Can't just trust AJ Brown and Devontae.
And the thing is, they could hypothetically do better. This pick could slip back a little bit. So if Troy Franklin's there or Kool-Aid's there, I think either one of those picks would be phenomenal. So
Sure.
Troy Franklin
Troy,
would
it
be
is.
fun.
All right, on to the Chiefs, notoriously allergic to drafting wide receivers in the first round. We do have quite a few opportunities here to pick one for them. I don't think it's going to be Ladd McConkey. I need to know who is making the ADP for him in the first round. It's not Ladd McConkey. It's either going to be Adonai Mitchell, Dontavez Walker, or Keon Coleman. I could see any of those guys. Xavier Legette I could see over Ladd McConkey, but I don't know. Who's boosting it up?
I had Mitchell just because Ewers over and under threw him just non-fucking stop at Texas. And if Patrick Mahomes could actually rip him the ball, I mean, that catch he had against Michigan, I mean, he kind of looked like Julio. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Kind of had that. I would go him or Walker,
great.
man. I had Walker going way earlier. I like both of them a lot.
I like
you had
Walker.
wide receivers going to every single team.
Yeah, whole first round wide receivers. It's good for fantasy.
Walker.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I actually had Walker. I actually had Walker
I do
here,
like Mitchell though.
but you guys
Walker.
convinced me on Mitchell. It seemed like the better fit.
I feel like somebody's trolling me with this McConkey thing. Like, there's no way that somebody is taking him in the first.
I even
You like
knew not to
Walker or
put
Mitchell
McConkey in there.
for the Chiefs. So,
I had Walker originally, but you
For
guys
them,
convinced
I
me
would
on
rather have Mitchell because they need a jump ball wide receiver. But
Yeah.
Walker just is such a great player that they need.
Dude. Walker's
Mitchell it is.
wild.
Donnie
actually
Mitchell
like-
just got drafted.
Because
I'm
it
sorry, you
takes
keep
the
convincing
pressure-
me and you're going, I guess they'll take the other guy.
It's the pressure would be off of Travis Kelce down in the red zone. They need a guy like Mitchell who's going to win jump balls.
I agree.
That would be
They're going
that
to need
would
a
be
big
sick.
one.
All right, on to pick number 27. It is the Houston Texans. A huge bounce back year for the Texans. Did they already pick once? Who did we pick with their last pick?
No one. Cardinals had it.
Oh, just kidding.
that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, they traded their
right,
pick.
right.
Just kidding. Their first pick is pick 27 from the Browns. They need a wide receiver. They need a tight end. They need some defensive line.
Real quick, can
personally-
we just talk about how pissed off the Texans have to be that the Cleveland Browns ended up being good this year?
Yes,
Like
they are
were,
so mad.
Like they were like, yeah, we'll trade our pick and go get Will Anderson. That's no problem. We're gonna have a decent pick. Maybe it'll be 10, 12, whatever. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? They need to,
Fucking
and they get
Joe
to play
Flacco.
them. They get to play them
That's a-
in the first game.
with Deshaun Watson, they would have been fine. Like this would have worked out perfectly for them. Probably a top 10 pick. With Joe Flacco, who is Backo, like I can't believe it. They're not. So, man, they're not going to take a linebacker. I do think there is a chance they take Jatavion Sanders from Texas, the tight end. That would be an interesting pick for them. But they could also be taking their wide receivers that we haven't picked so far.
I originally had Braswell here. Just thought edge made sense. Give Will Anderson a running mate, basically. I know that.
Josh, I had an edge too. This is going to be a complete homer / shocking pick, but he seems like a D'Amico Ryan guy, and that's Darius Robinson from Missouri. I know he's older, but he's got the motor. D'Amico Ryan's, I mean, pair him up with Will Anderson. I think that'd be sick.
Wow, you were not kidding. Is he even on the board?
It is
Not on PFF's board. He's on the Joe board.
It's on the Joe board.
well.
I was thinking Chop Robinson, man, but honestly, I really like There it
Chop
is.
Robinson's not bad. Braylon Trice is not bad. Those guys are both first rounders.
I had Trice go in the next pick, so I'd be okay.
Yeah, I
with
have
either
Trice
one.
go in the next pick because I want him to be a Lion. But
I do too.
Okay, well,
I do too, so badly.
we won't do that in that case. Then, let's just be chaotic. Let's take Walker with this pick. They do need a wide receiver. I definitely could see them going for it.
That's fair. I mean, honestly, who knows? Obviously, Tank Dell and
You
Nico
put
Collins, but
him,
nothing else.
Nico, Tank, like that would. I mean, who's kind of want to face that? That's three
I can
problems.
see him doing it too.
Yeah, not
Let's
a
go.
bad
Let's
pick.
do it.
Okay. Now here, pick 28 is the Detroit Lions, and we will take, because for some reason we're doing this so that we can be happy, we'll take Chop Robinson. To the
Braylon
Lions.
Trice.
Oh, Braylon Trice. My bad. Braylon
Calm
Trice.
down.
Yeah, I completely missed it. Whatever. We're taking Braylon Trice. There's nearly not a big problem with Trice. He hasn't really been getting home as much this year as he did last year, but he's still a fantastic edge rusher, and I think paired up with Hutchinson, this would be a formidable duo for that defense.
Yeah, running on the other side of Hutchinson, he should see a little less block, less tight end, less chips. So
For sure. Okay, on to the Buffalo Bills, who are definitely going to need a wide receiver. So pull that one up.
I
This is
actually
where I
have
have
Cameron
Leggett going.
Hutchins going here.
Interesting. Cool. I feel like they're going to lose Diggs. I don't think they're going to have Diggs, and that just
Fair enough.
leaves them
I do. If that's the
kinda-
case, then yeah.
kind of short-handed. If I personally had to guess how this is going to go, it would be he's not going to be there. So I would probably pick Keon Coleman, but that's just me.
Yeah, I have Leggett here. I just think he's a better player of the two.
Okay, Joe, what turned you off of Keon Coleman? What happened?
I just don't think that he's going to be able to replicate in the NFL what he did at Florida State.
Okay.
I think he's a one-trick pony. I don't think anything else is very nuanced in his game, and heart only takes you so far.
All right, Billy, what's your why do you like Coleman over Leggett?
I mean, I don't really have a strong feeling towards Coleman because I always kind of thought he was overrated in the season. But at the same time, like I do think that he is probably a better wide receiver than Coleman. But I think in the pre-draft process, Leggett definitely has a chance to overtake him. So I'm not opposed to Leggett. That's not a bad choice. He made Spencer Rattler look good. That's an undertaking all on its own. So yeah, that's not a bad pick. We could do Leggett.
All right. Leggett it is, the Bills.
All right.
All right, now we got
Pick
Cowboys
30.
on the clock.
Yep, pick 30 is the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like we're gonna go defense with this pick, but like Terrion Arnold. But I do think there's a chance they could swing for a running back. There's not a ton of like number ones in this draft, but if we're gonna see a running back in the first round, this could be the team that sneaks one up there. Maybe
can
that's
agree
just
with you.
fantasy brain. Maybe that's just fantasy brain.
Also
talking,
Ravens.
but-
No. This team, I actually like. This is nothing. I talked to a Cowboys fan today. This has nothing to do with the Eagles. This isn't. I mean, obviously we talked a little shit, but if the Cowboys are going to get exposed in the playoffs, which I assume they probably will at some point, it's going to be because of their lack of running the ball. Just play cover and don't let Dak Prescott throw the ball downfield. They need a running back, and I think that's what will potentially push a running back up into the first round. I don't personally think it'll happen here, but there's a possibility. I mean, someone tests well.
What do you think, Joe?
So I had him taking Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon just as a center there because I think, they kind of need to invest in this line. I love the idea of a running back going here. The question is which one on there. I could also see Kitchens going here because, they got a hooker signed, but
That's true.
it's
Well,
pretty much
Terrion
all they have
Arnold
at
could
safety.
also go here. Or Ennis
Yeah.
Rakeshaw. He's really good. Mizzou's cornerback. Either one of those
Mhm.
guys. The argument for running back, the problem is that like Jonathan Brooks was like probably an edge first round guy, but then he tore his ACL in the season. So got to heal from that. And that's going to take him out of all the pre-draft stuff. So you're not really going to get to test. You're only going to be going off of film and you have to do his entire recovery process too, which is frustrating. You watch Blake Corum. I don't know how he's not being seen as higher. I mean, I feel like he kind of has like Jonathan Taylor-esque type running sometimes, but he's not being viewed as that. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to have to do to get up there.
Yeah, Corum's a machine, and then I mean, where does Henderson go if he declares? I mean, where is he at on here?
I mean, they're probably not going to value him as high as I would. Probably not going to like. I think running back. I know that in overall football, it's being undervalued, but like this draft, it's super being undervalued. There's some sneaky, really good running backs. Like Bucky Irving has him ADP 104. He is way better than the 100th pick in the draft. And to see that is where he's at right now is kind of frustrating. Okay, maybe they don't go that. We can go Arnold or we can go Kitchens or somebody in the secondary. Just kind of.
I had Arnold, Braswell, and Kitchens all off the board at this point, so I'm okay with any of those.
Arnold might be the pick.
Too, so I think Arnold.
Maybe we should do Arnold.
Yeah, but honestly, I think that Jonathan Brooks does come back from this, and I think there is a chance that he comes back in the first round just because of how good he's going to be. It sucks, obviously.
True. All right, pick 31 is the San Francisco 49ers. I had them going with Ennis Rakeshaw here, the cornerback from Missouri.
Same. I already drafted him.
Okay.
Sorry, Joe.
Didn't even need to talk about it.
They
don't really need a whole lot. They don't really
State,
need a whole lot. So
they got a young team.
Yes, they have a very good team, and they're really only missing things that are getting injured. So that's a spot.
They need cornerback help.
Yeah,
they definitely
that's where
do.
this helps.
So,
although their corners are playing pretty well for what they are. I mean, for
definitely.
Lenore and
all right, pick 32 in the faux Super Bowl champion would be the Baltimore Ravens. They need some defensive help for sure, and they also need a number one wide receiver, even though it seems like it doesn't matter who's wide receiver. They're just going to throw them the ball anyway. So, guys, what did we think about the Baltimore Ravens?
I originally had Devontae Walker going here. Obviously, he's gone in our mock here, but at the same time, I really feel like the bigger thing here is just bolstering that defense and making it one of the best or continuously the best in the league. I think that's where they really go. And in this mock, we have Braswell still. So I personally think that's where we go here.
Yeah. I mean, this is absolutely a luxury pick. I think I had Kingsley Sumet. I can't pronounce his name.
Oh,
BYU. And just getting a monster tackle out there. Try to keep Lamar alive.
I could see offensive line. I know it doesn't say it here on the needs, but personally, that could be clearly something that the Ravens stock.
I just feel like anytime you have a luxury pick, you got to go D-line or O-line. I don't.
Yeah.
That just seems like the
big guy on your team.
Probably right about that.
Really break
whoever you guys want.
Whoever we want. Let's go D-line. That's fine by me. We can do that.
Braswell it is.
Okay.
That rounds out our draft.
That is. All right. Well, that actually went pretty good, I thought. I mean, I do think we have some craziness. There's one pick in particular. We won't have to rehash it.
Which pick?
That I think is bonkers beyond all belief.
You agree with me that Caleb Williams shouldn't be the first quarterback off the board and that we should put Penix at number one?
I don't think that.
Okay. Gotcha.
That
Sorry.
isn't going to happen. I think you're going to be surprised how low people are on Penix to start out, at least. I mean, he's probably going to work his way up, but I think people are going to be really down on him.
I know he had a good team around him, but I also think he propped up that team as well. And obviously, there's a reason they made it there.
I mean, he definitely made all of those wide receivers on that team some money because I do think that the second round is just going to be chocked full of wide receivers as well. So I think there's going to be plenty. I mean, fantasy, we're going to get an influx of a lot of good offensive players this season. And we haven't had one of those in a while. It feels like it's been a lot of defense lately. So it's good to see that we have a draft that's, 3 wide receivers in the top 10 picks. I mean, that's amazing. We needed that.
Yeah, we don't have our first edge rusher going until 14, which is unlike the last few years, which, to be fair, Billy, you said that last year, that this isn't a good edge draft.
There just wasn't a guy. Like, there wasn't a top guy. There wasn't an Aiden Hutchinson. There wasn't a Will Anderson. There wasn't somebody just waiting. And to be fair, like Will Anderson hasn't even he was a good this season, but he wasn't transcendent like we thought. So like if you think that and then you take a step down from that, even that's kind of where we're at.
I mean, if you look at the Texans right now, I mean they're drafting at 27 in the draft. I personally, I mean, yeah, they would have been at whatever 20 plus. 24, 27 could have been what the number they got. So in reality, it's a wash. I like the Will Anderson making sure you got it before you got it, because I mean he got to play a full season. You get him next year, he's probably at least a portion of the reason you're in the playoffs. So
for sure. All right, that is mock 1.0. We do have free agency that still has to happen. That's going to change a lot of our picks. We have trades that are going to happen, which are going to trade or change a lot of our picks. But we like to get a little ground level, a little just kind of getting everything sorted out ahead of time, so that when we look back at this, we can laugh at it, or we can say, "Damn, we were actually dead on with that pick." I always enjoy doing that too. So, guys, to close this podcast out, how did we feel this went?
I thought it was pretty smooth.
Yeah, we had a pretty good draft last year, so if we keep building on this, I think we could be right there again.
Yeah, I know it was our 2.0 or 3.0 last year that like we nailed the wide receiver run from 20 to 26 or whatever. Like we were just, I mean, they were all in a little bit different order, but it was essentially the same thing that we're like, oh, we nailed that. And that wasn't even what it said. That was probably Joe that led that and was like, we need wide receivers here. We need wide receivers.
Everyone
everywhere.
needs a wide receiver, man. This draft is going to be awesome. I'm so excited.
Based on how we were starting this one, or the middle of this one, Joe, yes, I can tell that you think we need a lot more wide receivers in the first. Do you guys have any players, Joe, I'm mainly talking to you because I think you have a lot of guys that we didn't even get to. Do you have any players, wide receiver-wise, that we didn't get to that you think should have been in the first round as far as consideration goes?
Yeah, I mean, McConkey's going to be interesting. I think where he ends up is going to be an interesting play because he kind of plays that tweener wide receiver role. He's not going to be a number one, but he's probably going to be a pretty good number two in a lot of offenses. It's going to be wherever Keon Coleman actually ends up is going to be interesting because I just think he's a very high risk pick whatever team takes him. That's kind of where it's going to be. I don't know. I just love all the wide receivers in this draft. I haven't gotten a chance to get into these lower guys. I mean, Xavier Worthy, I mean, yeah, he has the opportunity to be awesome, but I don't think we're going to get there. So
I feel like Keon Coleman's going to have a DK Metcalf type of thing where everybody's going to be like, look at this 3-cone drill. He's a total bust. I feel like that's kind of how – I mean, we want to see him test first, but I feel like that might end up being what happens. Or you might be dead on. He might end up being a pick that, they regret in the long run. But
I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody that I actually was interested in was Johnny Wilson. I know that it's going to be late and it's probably not going to end up well, but there's this weird chance that a 6'7" wide receiver out there, I mean, he's just basically essentially going to act like a tight end, I would imagine, probably maybe even turn into a tight end, but big guy out there for a team. Someone could use a jump ball touchdown guy. Like I don't like. I could see his stats looking like Taysom Hill's, like 0, 2 catches for 2 yards, and then the next week like 3 catches for 3 touchdowns for like 9 yards or something. But I mean, he can run too. It's not like
he is a bizarre wide receiver to watch because you're like, how is a 6'7" human moving like that, and how is he like? And then there are some games where it's like dead quiet, and you're like, man, I feel like he should be just tearing this up right now. What is going on?
And that's the thing is, if he can keep it up and stay healthy, I mean, that could be amazing. I mean,
no, I'll have to agree. I think
Malachi Corley is pretty interesting. Bill, sorry to cut you off there. The one I wanted to ask you about.
Big Hilltopper fan.
Do you think Igbuka is going back to school this year?
I think he should. There's a lot of people saying that he's not and that he's going to come out, but I think it'd be a mistake if he didn't go back to school. There's a couple names that were on the list. There's Quinn Evers, who they have listed on there. He's going to go back to school. I don't think he's going to come out. So there's a couple names on there that I saw that I was like, I don't know if that player is going to be available to draft. I think Igbuka should go back to school. I don't think he showed enough this season to really warrant what he deserves, which is a first-round draft pick. But we're not going to – I mean, we didn't take him just now, and I don't think that he's going to be able to show enough to get there. So that's going to be frustrating for him. Okay.
Yeah, Billy, who was your
Well-
guy before I interrupted you?
Oh, I was just gonna say Jatavian Sanders from Texas. I do think he's gonna get some consideration for those tight end needy teams at the back end. Like the Bengals, I definitely think they needed a tight end last year. We were hoping Kincaid would go there, and he didn't. I think this year it would be very helpful for them if they just took the easy path and went with Sanders. They might be able to get him in the second round as well. But I think as a receiving threat, as a blocking helper, like he was really good at Texas this season, getting them going. And I don't know. I think he's an easy no-brainer as a potential first-round pick, but maybe he ends up in the second. I don't know. But I think he should be monitored at least. Fair enough.
Get Bowers. Go Bengals.
Well, I hope that happens too.
Somehow.
Okay.
If that happens.
Dude, I would love for that to happen. I tried to mock it to it, and I was like, it just can't happen. Like, probably
He's just
won't.
not gonna make it that. He's just not gonna make it that low. He is a freak of nature. Okay, that is mock point or 1.0. Next week we are going to be talking injuries for the off season with our friend Dr. Tom. That'll be exciting. Don't worry. If you have an injury question, I guarantee you we're probably going to get to the player. And we're going to tell you what trades you should be making in Dynasty and which players that maybe you should stay away from. So that'll be exciting. And with that being said, Joe, get us out of here.
Good night, Possums.
Thank you for watching this IDP Guys video. If you like this content and you want more fantasy football content, click here. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos to help you master your IDP league, click here to subscribe.